No. She's like, you knew me from when I was a lunch lady at high school, or you have short-term memory loss. I was like, lady, I go to school in Michigan.
All right.
So that's why I always say, when I started realizing, preaching, well, you should speak to, for the first few years of your ministry career, you should focus on the youth. Because that's where you're going to get an experience. Also, they love to test your patience. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Chuck. What's up, man?
What's up, Jonathan?
Dude, so I've been trying to think, like, all summer. We started doing the Central Sit Down just a couple months ago, and I've been thinking, okay, as soon as the students get back, who should be on there? And I thought, we gotta have Chuck on the sit down.
I mean, that sounds pretty interesting. I've seen a few of them. I've laughed at a couple.
Well, as far as like people that I would be interested in watching a sit down, you rank at least within the top 23.
Oh, heck yeah. It's top 50 right there.
I get top 50. Oh yeah, okay. All right. So, for everyone who doesn't know you, you bleed Michigan.
That's true.
Why?
I'm from there. I was raised there. I've been a Michigan fan since I can't remember when. I'm pretty sure my first words were "Let's go Lions." Whoa. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to ask my dad, but
to your best recollection, it's "Let's go Lions."
Yeah. As a toddler, big Lions supporter.
And Verner's
huge. I love it. It's pop. I mean,
so surely it's been around, but I've never noticed it on the shelves until you went around shoving it in everyone's faces. But apparently, like, we sell it here.
Well, someone's got to shove it in people's faces.
Do you get paid for every time you shove Verner's in someone's face?
No, I just like exposing the Michigan culture to Missourians. As a Missouri resident.
Yeah. Like, okay, what else is Michigan?
Salty vehicles.
What does that mean?
The amount of salt on the road, it's all rust. Vehicles are.
It's just salt all year round.
Yeah. See, that's why there's salt life. It's not because of Great Lakes. It's because of, the salt on the roads.
Oh.
Yeah.
Press X to doubt. Sorry.
Yeah. Put F in the chat to Michigan vehicles.
Dude, okay, so how does someone from Michigan wind up at Central?
So, this actually kind of starts at a camp in Michigan that I've been to since I was like 16. I've been a counselor at, and where I met Jesus and where I learned about ministry. And there's really only one choice that I really had in Michigan, and that's Great Lakes. Great Lakes, fantastic college. I like the staff there. I've met quite a bit of people, but I didn't feel like I was called to it. And my pastor, Austin, he is a Central alum.
Really?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Austin Keller.
Okay, that sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you went to the preaching summit this past year, you would have met him.
Okay.
He's bald.
Okay.
And he was like, "Hey, I went to Central. It's pretty cool. You should look at it. Since you're going into ministry." I was like, I will do just that. And I applied to several different colleges. I mean, I applied all the way from Great Lakes to Boise, and I think I applied to Boise. I think I did. I'm like 50% sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, and but I didn't visit Central, but I knew it was I was being called to it. So I loaded up my rusty pickup, going back to the Michigan thing, and I just traveled.
Okay, but you said it started at camp. How did that?
So
go back to camp and walk me through the story.
So I started camp as a counselor, surprisingly. Like, I didn't grow up, I didn't really believe in anything. Like, I knew about Jesus, but I didn't know him.
Did you go to church as a kid?
No, we did not.
How did you wind up at this church camp? So it's a church camp?
It is a church camp.
What's the camp called?
Wolverine Christian Service Camp.
Oh, with Ray. Okay.
Yeah, with Ray.
Okay, so how did you end up at the camp, And how did you end up as a counselor?
So, funny story. I was at a lunch club at my high school, Ubley High School, in Ubley, Michigan, and my pastor now, Austin, he did lunch club every Wednesdays at this high school, and so me and him had this connection, and I was going through a deep, dark moment in my life, and I kind of prayed to God, hey, give me a passage, let me know what I want to, tell me what you want me to do, and I get a text message from Austin saying, hey, would you like to be a counselor at this junior high camp? I'm down on counselors, and I think you'd be a great fit.
Why does he think you're a good fit?
I have no idea.
Because you're alive?
Yeah.
Not busy?
Yeah, I think that was it. And so I was like, okay, you know what, God, if you want me to do this, I'll do that.
At 16.
At 16.
What's your exposure to God at this point that makes you even think to pray this prayer?
I think it was out of desperation.
So you just have this idea that there's a God.
Yeah. I we had a Bible in the house. And I grew up Lutheran for the first 5 years of my life. So I knew Jesus, knew about Jesus, but I didn't know him personally.
Okay.
So I knew he was there. I was doubting at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started going to lunch club at my high school, so I got to learn a little bit more about him.
So this is a little bit of a Bible study during lunch at school.
Yeah.
Okay, so Austin asks you to be a counselor.
And I was like, okay, I'm exhausted, but I'm going to do it, because this obviously this is a sign that I need to do something with my life. I'm 16. I should have a driver's license. I didn't at the time, but I should, and I'm starting to grow. I'm starting to grow up. I'm maturing. I'm saying that sarcastically,
right? The Michigander way.
Yeah, and so I went to this camp. I didn't really know much about the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any verses memorized. I couldn't tell you where a book in the Bible was.
Right.
But then I felt a kind of a tug to start reading the Bible. So
while you're at camp.
While I was at camp, and then going home.
Okay. Yeah.
And so someone bought me an ESV. So I was raised on ESV only. It's the first 5 years of my life, and then we had one in the house. We never really opened it, and someone who I just interned with bought me an ESV. I think I mixed up a year. I think that was my second year at camp. But I started reading the King James first, and then I just stopped reading because I didn't feel motivated. Second year I went. That's when I started feeling more and more tugged. I met who I interned with this past summer.
You met them at Wolverine?
At Wolverine.
Okay.
Yeah, and they bought me a Bible, and that's when I started being tugged towards ministry. And then I finally got to go to a high school week at camp. What
was the first age you were doing?
Junior high.
Okay.
I was counseling junior high as a high schooler. Sophomore in high school, I think it was. And then my in between my junior and senior year, I went back and I was a counselor again because I guess the people at Wolverine liked me, and I realized, hey, maybe ministry is where it's at. I had a plan to be a mechanic. I had already gotten accepted to Delta College in Michigan, and I had a shop that was willing to pay for my tuition.
Wow.
I wouldn't have had to pay a cent. All I would have had to do is work there for a few years, and boom, I would have had a free degree. Wow. And but God started calling me towards ministry, and I wasn't baptized yet, so I decided to go to a high school week of camp. And
as a camper?
As a camper.
Okay.
I finally went as a camper, and I realized, maybe God's calling me towards ministry. First it was camp ministry, but now it's shifted a little bit, just into ministry. But that's when I was baptized, and I was like, man, I got to go to Bible college. Where am I going to go to Bible college at?
Yeah.
How am I going to pay for this? Bible college is expensive. It's cheaper than most other colleges, but it's still expensive.
Yeah.
I'm from a broke background. How am I going to pay? The next question in my mind was, how am I going to pay for this?
Yeah.
And then something kept on popping in my head. God's got this, man. Quit worrying about this. Quit worrying about what the price of college is. Just go.
Where did that thought come from?
I don't know. I do not know.
Wow.
So like as going into my senior year of high school, my thoughts was, well, if I'm going to go to a college, I'm going to go to where I can afford, which wasn't a lot of places.
Sure.
But then it kept on popping in my mind, it doesn't matter, God's calling you towards Central.
How did you even, because you're,
yeah.
Andrew.
No, Austin.
Austin
yeah,
said you should go check it out. Okay.
Yeah, and I looked on the website. I was like, man, I got to go here. Yeah. I have to go to Central. I had to go to Central. I didn't even, and the funny thing is I ghosted Roger for, when Roger was an admissions counselor, I ghosted him for months, and to the point where he thought I was not going to come. There was no point emailing me. And then out of nowhere, I put my deposit down.
You're the ideal candidate.
Yeah. And I just randomly put my deposit down, and Roger's like, this guy is coming now, I guess.
Okay, so how long before school started did you put your deposit in?
April.
Oh, okay. So
it was
a little,
but I applied in October, and I ghosted him from October to April.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now that you're here, what are you studying?
I'm a preaching major. I originally was a youth and family major, and then I shifted over to preaching because I took foundations of preaching, and I realized, man, maybe God's calling me to use my voice. I use it a lot, so might as well use it for a good reason.
Yeah, you say some of the most out-of-pocket, outlandish things. And the stuff that you post on Facebook, man, is so weird.
Well, if I don't post it, who's going to post it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess somebody has to.
Yeah, someone has to. I mean.
So, speaking about Roger, he works here. He was in admissions. Now he's over maintenance. But you have an interesting relationship with him. Tell me about what
so
that's
he's my team captain. Not team captain. He's the coach, the head coach at the Shotgun Sports team. So me and him have gotten pretty close together. I mean, we spend hours and hours cleaning guns after meets and doing all these different things. Like he's helped me clean jerseys and I help him with different things if he needs help. So me and him have gotten really close since I've been here. I think once I leave Central, even though it might be like 30 years from now, I don't know. Once I leave Central, me and him are going to stay pretty close.
Yeah. Tell me, so the Shotgun Sports is interesting because you guys practice off campus. You don't really do anything together on campus. A lot of your stuff, at least as far as I can tell, like you practice off campus. All your meets are out of town. We don't host any type of meets or anything like that. So a lot of us really, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Mm-hmm. We kind of forget about it until like, oh yeah, we've got Shotgun Sports. One of the things I'm really curious about with Shotgun Sports is, does that group cultivate any like spiritual health value? Like, tell me about what the spiritual temperature in the Shotgun Sports team is like. I think
it's pretty good. I mean, before every practice we pray. After every practice we pray. Every time that we're away for more than a day, we have a devotion, going over, even though we are shooters, we're Christians first. Our main focus should be on Christ. And Shotgun Sports might just be a way to get people to come to Christ.
Really?
But, yeah. It's so we just want people to realize that we're not doing this for ourselves. There's more to the Shotgun Sports team than just ourselves. I mean, we can shoot all day and it doesn't mean anything. It kind of goes back to Ecclesiastes. You can do anything and it really doesn't mean anything unless you do it for God. And I think Shotgun Sports goes along with that. And we really want to note the shooters with that as well. Don't shoot for yourself because you're not going to do it. You're not going to do well at all. But if you shoot with the glory of God in mind, no matter how well you do, and you're just joyful for the fact that you got to shoot for Christ. You're going to do a lot better. And we just want to really focus on the spiritual health of the shooters. And sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle for some people. It really depends because they're more of the people who want to be alone during their time of prayer. So we kind of have to allow that. But I think it really is a cultivating relationship because we start every practice with prayer and we end every practice with prayer.
That's interesting. Like the Greek word for sin, do you know what it is?
I don't.
I think it's pronounced hamartia. Do you know what it means?
I should.
It means like to miss the mark.
Yeah.
So we're practicing hitting the mark.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got to realize that we can never hit the mark without Jesus. So
there it is. That's the tie-in. That's the connection.
Yeah,
we can only hit the mark with Christ.
And Jesus is the shotgun. He's hitting the target.
The goat shotgun.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, if we live, if we're going back to the shotgun analogy, it's like shooting clays with a Nerf gun. We're not going to hit anything if we're by ourselves.
Yeah. All right. So what year are you this year?
I'm a junior. I know it's crazy. I think I'm a freshman in my mind, and I'm like, man, I'm an upperclassman this year. That's scary.
Didn't you write some like ridiculous paper when you were a freshman?
I did.
What was it?
That Darth Vader was a warrior of God.
Yeah, Darth Vader was a warrior of God.
Yeah.
I'm a little reluctant to ask you to unpack that because I don't know how that's going to play out, but give me the summary. Give me the cliff notes.
Basically, if we think of the Jedi as these demon worshipping people, they have the idol, the Force,
okay.
and we think of the Jedi Temple and people like Alderaan as Sodom and Gomorrah, And
wow.
That's why it was destroyed. It was destroyed. It's because they weren't any good. They were all sinful people. So he was called to destroy them. That was my entire argument. Also, he was born from a virgin mother. Shmi was technically a virgin. So,
right.
So that was another argument. I am not proud of the paper anymore now that I've taken theological classes.
Right.
I mean, that was first semester, like first month Charles.
Yeah.
Where like I'm just learning how to format a Turabian paper. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to practice this on something that no one believes that I'm going to use.
Right. But that is interesting, like, because in a lot of ways, I've heard the progression of like, when you were even talking about like disciplining children.
Okay, so that was actually an assignment for class. I was talking about Deuteronomy chapter 21, verses 18 through 21. Where
right.
If a child is rebellious, even though it's more, it says sons, like if they're rebelling, then take them out to the back, with permission from the elders and stone them.
Put them to death, right.
Yep, stone them to death.
But I just remember like seeing and hearing like, Darth Vader was a warrior of God, and then progressing to this part. I don't know, like, he's a preacher. This is the guy preaching.
I wasn't preaching then. I was still youth and family ministry major.
Yeah, but you're preaching to kids, youth at that point.
Not that time. I didn't really start helping out until like end of my freshman year.
Yeah.
When Tice was like, hey, you got to come in and help out at Cairo Baptist.
So you got 2 years left.
I have three. I'm adding on an extra year. I know you're excited to get rid of me. I added on an extra year. I wanted to take a little bit of extra time for some of the extra classes that aren't required for my degree, but I think would be very interesting, as well as I'm adding on a couple minor, I'm adding on a minor degree. Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure which one I remember because we just shifted.
Oh yeah, the programs.
Yeah. So I'm not really 100% sure. I don't remember which one I added, but I added one so far.
Tell me a little bit about your internship. You just finished it. I'm not trying to name names. We can keep it really ambiguous, but you got a really solid dose of what being in the middle of ministry is like, because it's one thing to preach a sermon. It's one thing to prepare a youth lesson and sit down and have a youth group thing, but then it's something entirely different when you're in the politics, when you're in the middle of sin in leadership. And it's so interesting because as much as you're comfortable unpacking what you walked through this summer, there is some real biblical examples where it's like, it's not just in the Bible for fun. Like, there's real practical purposes for walking through some like church issues.
Yeah.
So tell me about your internship.
So from in the very beginning, it was okay, but as there was sort of a division, I didn't really know why. But then I found out, some of the issues that some of the leadership had, and that they were caught up in sin, and that they needed to be rebuked, but they didn't exactly want to step down. So there was kind of with that came gossip and lies. So this entire church was caught up in gossip and lies, and then there was so it split in two. And to the point where there was huge like debates and issues, like congregational meetings. It felt like every other week, like there was an issue here, to the point where like I was seeing some of the church members starting to become spiritually drained when this church is supposed to fill them up. Yeah. I mean, they're coming to the place to worship our Savior and our Creator, and here they are, they're being drained because you can't worship God in a godless place properly is what I meant to say there. It's really a struggle because you're more focused on what's going around than worship, and that comes with the division.
You can't worship God in a godless place properly.
Yeah, I mean, you're really gonna focus on the church politics over, instead of worshiping and falling on your knees for the person who created you, the God who created you, the God who saved you.
Wow.
And that's what I saw was just hurt people.
Yeah.
And that really broke my heart at the end, because I'm seeing friends I've made over the summer, they're feeling. They're not wanting to go to church. They're starting to step away. To the point where the church is split now.
It did split.
It is officially split now, and I think over half the members have left. But it was really a struggle seeing the people I was staying with start shaking when they're hearing some of these things. Like they went from extreme joy, like these are some of the most generous, joyful people, and they get one phone call and they're on the brink of tears, and it really hurt because I'm like, man, these people have been so kind to me. I mean, I'm 30 hours from the college, 45 hours from home.
Right.
I don't. These are kind of the people that I know, and seeing that they're hurting right now, and there's not much I can do because I got to leave.
I mean, I know it's still pretty raw because I just spoke with you a couple days ago, and you weren't sure if it was gonna split or stay together. Yeah. So, at this point, I mean, I don't know what the right question even is. It's not what was the takeaway or what did you learn, but like, I guess where are you at with having to walk through all that?
I am joyful in the Lord because, even though I saw all that, I was still able to see the joy in the people, being able to minister to so many out in Oregon, and it was such a blessing. Even though there's rough patches, seeing some of the youth get baptized that I was working with, seeing that they're growing spiritually since I've been there. So, I think all the good that I did out there, or that God did, because it wasn't me, it was God working through me. Seeing what the power of God has amidst all the pain and all the suffering, that He's still there, was just a great reminder of how good He is.
Yeah. You said you got to minister to people. What did that practically look like?
So I was, I was neutral in the entire situation.
Sure, yeah.
So I was, speaking to people, praying for people. I know we went to the farmers market every Thursday, and in town, and we just was there speaking about Jesus, praying for people, people who are hurting, because there's so much pain and hurt in the world, and these people are going through that. So being able to pray for them, give them, I'm pretty young in my faith. I think I officially turned 3 in July, since I was baptized. So,
wow.
So like just being able to help guide people, and all these things, it was, I think that was the beneficial part of ministering to them, because I was able to speak to them in a different light.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't tell you I was going to ask about this, but, walking through your own hurt and struggling with some kind of like trying to reconcile things that happen in life with your faith and stuff. I know last year you personally had walked through some difficult things.
Life is mountains and valleys. We're called to praise Him in the mountains and in the valleys. So, no matter what's going on, there's always going to be issues. Since sin entered this world, since sin and corruption has entered this world, we're going to have to face those, because Satan's at the front of it. And if we can praise Him, have joy amidst all these things. That was one of my favorite series when it came to my youth curriculum, was Joy Amidst, learning what joy was and how to have it amidst all the world problems, including loss, pain, things like anger and even confusion or the unknown. So having that joy is really what's important.
Are you up for talking about that?
Oh yeah.
So your mom passed away last year.
Well, that's true.
How did that, because I remember like when you got the phone call, I remember when you left. Walk me through like your process of anger or confusion and finding joy and all that.
So at first it was crushing, because
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was so destructive to myself, because in January I got in an accident with my mom in the car, and so she was in the hospital from January until she passed. So I started blaming these things on me, because I was like, man, she never.
If I hadn't have been in the.
If I hadn't gotten that accident, my mom would have been home. And there's a chance she'd still be alive. And going through all these issues of, hey, you caused this. And I was still preparing. That happened in March, and 2 months later, I was starting to get ready to go to camp teams.
Right.
So like I had a shorter period of time, and I was. But what really helped was, and this is one of my favorite stories to tell about Central, was the day that my mom passed and I was getting ready to go home. Most of the people on campus, they met me in Lang in the hallway, and they're just praying for me. Like there's tens of people in here. Like Central's pretty small,
right? And
like most of the people on campus were in the lobby praying for me, and I think that is one of my favorite stories to tell, because it shows how powerful a community of believers is. I think it was after that point where, even though I was still feeling terrible, I still had some relief and joy, because I realized, hey, God sent these people to me for this exact reason.
Wow.
Because I couldn't have done it by myself. And it was both the people around here that helped guide me amidst that, as well as all the people from home, like Ray. He wasn't a Central student yet, and and even Dr. Stevens. He told me if I would have left, he probably would have kicked my butt. So, but just having all those people, as a reminder I actually still have the card in my room that they wrote for me of like, hey, I'm sorry that this happened, and I'm praying for you. And, I have that as on my desk as a reminder, that, I'm not going to walk through this life alone.
Yeah.
I've made a great collection of friends, even though I'm annoying sometimes. That I have this great collection of friends, these godly friends that are going to help guide my way. They're going to help set my path straight. They're going to rebuke me when I need to be rebuked.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. So I think that's when I felt that joy, because it was a few weeks in, I was starting to come back, and, and I had gotten phone calls almost every day from people on campus, saying, how are you doing? And I think that was the thing that constantly reminded me that I wasn't alone. And that's what brings me joy, is that reminder that I'm not alone, that Jesus is there beside me along my path, no matter where I'm at in my life.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of a church split, I was joyful.
Right.
Even in the midst of, moving 13 hours from my house, I was joyful. And knowing that no matter where I'm at, I may not be surrounded by people, but I'm never alone. That there's the Savior is always beside me in every single walk of life. That's what brought me joy.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine trying to navigate that. And then you were able to be that person who was with people this past summer in your internship.
And I think that actually is what helped me a lot, being able to see what loss feels like, see what it looks like, and being able to help direct people, that it's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. No matter what's going on, Jesus is there. You just have to open up your eyes and look.
I mean, yeah, that's so tough though, man. Like, because, and it's easy to say until you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh yeah, of course Jesus is with you. But what about, when you are like actually suffering, that's just so hard to know how to walk in when all you can see is what's right in front of you like that.
The only time that you can see that Jesus is the rock of your life is when you're at rock bottom. That's the only time you realize that he's there, that, he's the rock of your life is when you've hit that ground. It's easy to see, say, oh, Jesus is there when there's so much soil between you and him, when there's so many cushions of life. It's truly when you've hit the low that you finally see where he is.
If your eyes are open.
Yeah. You can be like Peter and close your eyes on the waves, and you start right. Falling. You fall. And it's not until you open up your eyes and have true faith that's when great things are going to happen.
So you've been here for a couple years. You got a few years ahead of you. What's the biggest significant change in your spirit, in your faith, in your life that you would say has happened since you've been here?
I think it was when I took Foundations preaching. Really, that's
with who?
With Dr. Stevens. Okay. I didn't get to take it with Dr. Billy. I was a year too late. But Billy told me that I need. He told me I was going to hell if I didn't become a preacher in the very beginning.
Of course he did.
Yeah, I met him at the preaching summit in 23, and he told me I was going to hell because I was from Michigan, and the only way to solve that was to go to Central. And I told him, well, yeah, I'm going to go to Central, but as a youth and family major, he's like, oh, you're going to go to hell because that's not a real degree.
Classic Billy.
Yeah. So, but it was when I realized, that I can use my voice more than just to annoy people. Yeah. I still love annoying people. Don't get me wrong. That's like one of my favorite things to do in a day.
Yes. It's very obvious that is the one thing that brings you more joy than anything else. I can't even count how many times I just stop listening to you. Obviously, I'm not listening to you or paying attention, and yet you keep going.
That's what you got to do.
Just Chuck.
Yeah.
And so then
I switched degrees, and I started supply preaching. I started realizing, I can do youth ministry, but I also need to use my voice.
Yeah.
God has gifted me with so many things, but my voice is number one. I can talk hours for nonstop, and at a loud volume too, and but with that ability comes to watch what I say, and and actually speak things that have meaning. And
that's, I think, the real trick, because there's a lot of value in understanding my voice has value, but how do I use it in a way that is actually valuable and productive? And are you taking any preaching classes this semester?
Not right now. I'm more focused on gen eds. I've been pushing them off.
Oh yeah, get them out of the way.
Especially since there's more now. So there's
with the program change.
Yeah, with the program change, there's more. There's more of them. So I got to focus on those. Integrated science.
I mean, so you at this point, preaching is the direction.
Yeah. So I still want to have my foot in youth ministry, but what I've noticed when it comes to ministry is it's a lot easier to get a youth ministry job with a preaching degree than it is to get a preaching job with youth ministry.
Yep.
Because if you have a youth ministry degree, all they're going to see you is youth ministry.
Yeah.
But if you have a preaching degree, they're going to see you as a preacher who wants to help with the youth.
Yeah. Well, and so I graduated from Central in 2011 with a religious studies, when you transfer half your degree in and finish up at Central. And I thought I was going to be a preacher, but I was a youth pastor for like 4 or 5 years. And one of the things I learned was learning how to prepare and speak and teach while you're actually not the person that everyone's expecting to have everything figured out. Like, I mean, you walked through a little bit of that in your internship. Yeah. You have that umbrella of someone else has gone through this, and they can be kind of like a little bit of a safety net. And so, not that it's for everyone, but I think there's a lot of value in learning the ropes as a youth pastor, that maybe people don't necessarily realize it's really valuable to not have to just jump in to be the head person right away.
Well, so we also got to think that the youth now is the congregation tomorrow.
Whoa.
Yeah, the youth now is our congregation tomorrow. And if you're learning to speak to them now, you're going to speak to them later.
Wow. All right.
So that's why I always say, when I started realizing, preaching, well, you should speak to, for the first few years of your ministry career, you should focus on the youth. Because that's where you're going to get an experience. Also, they love to test your patience. I have not met a single youth group that doesn't test my patience in some capacity.
Dude, and it's like you're in youth group and you're like, I know I was the kid that I'm so furious at right now, but where do they get off?
So but sometimes those annoying students, the ones that love to press your buttons. I've been watching memes. The one recently where it's like lizard. That was me in high school, and just seeing that, like, those people are sometimes the ones with the highest spiritual growth, like instantly.
Yeah,
because those are the people who are trying to figure out who they are. Those are the people who, just know what they know, but they're still trying to figure out who they are.
That's really good insight. Okay, so you have a general direction that you're heading. Do you feel like, at this point in your life, do you feel like there's anything specific that the Lord has really, because you felt the tug to ministry, then you felt the tug to preaching. Is there anything that you just feel like the Lord is saying, like, Chuck, this is the next thing I want you to give your energy or your attention to?
I don't know yet. I think this is I'm kind of in the interim part of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still in school. I think once my second senior year comes, it'll I think that's when God will start tugging me towards somewhere. And I think I'm excited for when that happens.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, God's led me this far in 3 years. I can only imagine what the next 3 years are going to be like.
Here's where it gets a little bit muddy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see this in Abraham's life. Paul's the only person I never see this in, but every other character in Scripture, you can see that they go through a very long season of routine. So like things happen, and then there's this like 15-year gap where God doesn't speak to Abraham. And he's just like, okay, I'm here. What am I doing? And in those seasons, actually, Dr. Fincher was my professor. We used to have these classes called SALT classes, Service and Leadership Training.
Yeah, that's SME now, right?
No, everyone took the SALT class.
Oh, yeah.
Every semester.
Oh, man, that sounds interesting.
It was great. Like, it used to be chapel, service learning, and then a class, like a 1-hour class, and it was all part of one credit that you got. Anyway, but we were in a class, and I remember him saying, like, so many people get lost in the desert, because Jesus went into the desert for 40 days, Israel wandered for 40 years, and he's like, everyone is going to wind up in the desert at some point. And so many people never make it out of the desert. And so that's the part that's like, yeah, he did amazing things in the past 3 years. He might do incredible things in the next 3 years. But at some point, you're going to end up in this place that's dry and it's tiring and it's exhausting. And you're like, what the heck am I even doing here?
Yeah, that's the season of doubt that every person's going to have.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter who you are. You're going to have those seasons of doubts. Like, is this really what I was meant to do? Is this, I've been doing this for so long. I've reached so many people, or God's reached so many people through me.
Or I feel like I haven't reached any.
Yeah.
Am I doing anything valuable?
I think at that point we just need a reminder that we're not nobody.
Yeah.
We're not a single person savior. We aren't meant to reach those people. That's God's job. And in those seasons of doubt, in those seasons of what am I going to do next? We've been doing this for 10 years. It's just having that reminder that you're still important to God. You're still God's beloved. You just might be where God wants you right now.
And that's the thing. It's like, it's not like Abraham was doing anything wrong. God's like, no, you're where I wanted you to be. And so there's, no reason to have a conversation right now. I don't know. I'm guessing.
You're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
You don't need to be rebuked. You're doing what I told you.
Just be faithful in that. Stick with it.
Just be faithful. And, just aim for those, good, well done, my good and faithful servant. That's what our goal should be at the end of the day. Is no matter how long it is in between our spiritual tugs, it's aiming for those words.
In the end.
Yeah. In
man,
the end,
and that's a good reminder.
Well done, my good and faithful servant. Nothing else really matters. Not a single thing else matters. If you're focused on those words, then it doesn't matter what dry season you're in. Because you're gonna have your heart straight of where you need to be.
Yeah. Dude, well, thanks for coming in and chatting with me. This was good, and I got to learn a lot about you I didn't know before, so.
I can be mature sometimes.
Yeah. I was actually secretly hoping for a little bit of the immature Chuck, but, I guess you brought your piano.
I did. I know how to play like 3 songs on that. I don't know how to play actual piano, just micro piano.
Right, just the Taiko toy piano. Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a blessing.
And school starts in like 5 days.
Don't remind me.
All right.